Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week in interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. It's a pleasure to be here with you as always and gather around my regular listeners who come back every single Wednesday. I appreciate you, and I hope that we get to do this for a little while to come. If tonight is the first time that you're hearing my voice or you tune into this weekend interview, where have you been? We've been waiting for you. But now that you're here, come on in, welcome. And I want you to invite your friends, invite folks who enjoy good information, good conversation, action items, and a really wide myriad of topics that we handle, contemporary topics. We try to bring it from a different angle, and that's what this weekend interview is about. RVR Jams management. We want to say thank you for bringing this weekend interview live in the Dominican market on DigiPlay Channel 59. Likewise, Radio SBE, online radio in the Toronto market, also brings this week in interview live as well. And there are a number of other affiliate stations that bring them later down in the week as replays and so on. And of course, you would know that you can get this weekend interview on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all the other social media platforms. And we really appreciate it when you give us a like and you follow us, and also when you participate and post comments in during the program. So, what do we do on this weekend interview? I have the privilege of having wonderful conversations with so many accomplished individuals, talented individuals, qualified individuals, individuals who have specific experiences. And we talk about those things, and I get to share those conversations with you. There's so many folks that I would not have met in real life, and I meet them because I'm blessed to be the host of this weekend interview. So, what do I have on tap for you tonight? Well, the long-term listeners or those who have tuned in before know that I love to talk about politics. I love to talk about economics. I always try to encourage you to take care of your health. So every once in a while we do something on health, whether it's mental health or prostate health or men's health or women's health. We always try to bring you stuff that's relevant, and we like to put it in a way where you know what you should do next. If what we talk about moves you, you know what to do next. But if all of that, I have a soft spot for the arts, and especially the literary arts. We do a lot of work with authors, and we have them on the program. Last year we collaborated to bring a virtual uh, literary festival where we had over 70 writers register, and it went really well. We had workshops, we had presentations, and so on. So tonight, that's what I'm doing. So I'm in one of my elements tonight. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to a newly released literary work, a book, a novel by one of these prolific authors, Mr. Sam George. I know again, if you regular on this weekend interview at TDN, you know Sam George. He's the producer of the program. He's the manager of the station. And but tonight he's wearing his hat as an artist, as a creative, as a brilliant storyteller, a writer. And he just released a new book called Kadim's Revenge. And one of the things that we do in the Caribbean is we sometimes we use our cohabitants, the animals, and sometimes even the trees to tell the stories that we want to tell. And that's the case with Kadim. So I want to introduce you to my guest tonight, Mr. Sam George, and he is the author of the newly minted book, Kadim's Revenge. Let's give him a welcome, a warm welcome. Sam, it's good to see you come move from behind the camera to the front of the camera. We've done it a few times, but every time, it's special. So welcome to this weekend interview.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. It's always good to be on this side of the thing. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yes.
It's a pleasure. It's wonderful. And I know our friend Catherine Dossett is tuned in. She usually is. And I'm bowing my head to say that she's been trying to be the midwife to my first book. And I'm starting to make her look bad as a midwife. In the meantime, you're just churning them out. You're just churning them out. And so, congratulations on the release of your new work,
Thank
Heading to
you.
Rent.
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't say tuning them out. It's a lot of the work is work that has already been done, or done like a few years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
So some of most of them actually is work that was done a while and it's just now blossoming or blooming, whichever one you want to use. So it's just coming into the public eye. And then that's a lot of it is thanks to the encouragement of my family and of course Nicole and so on. So it's just you know uh, putting it out there. It's not the easiest thing, and there are quite a few authors who have been very supportive, especially members of the Piton Noir Writing Collective. So Annie, of course, very very supportive author herself, and very supportive of other
Annette,
authors.
really shy and reserved and introverted Annette, offer Annette Philip. Good night, Annette. Great to have you.
Yes. Good night, Annie. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey the last few years, and I would give credit to um, Redemption Road. I would say. I mean, we've talked about all of that before, but we have an hour, so we can always dance around some topics, right? You know.
For those
So
that don't know
yeah, a lot.
Redemption Road, for those that don't know about Redemption Road, we picked up a lot of new listeners.
Mhm.
Just tell them a little bit about Redemption Road.
Well, Redemption Road was a 5-season radio drama series which was written by myself, well, Nicole Georges Bennett. She actually wrote the first season or most of it. And then she reached out to me and she said, Sam, I wrote this radio play or drama series play. And, I'm wondering if TDN Life 101 would like to produce it. And she sent me the script and I read it and I was like, okay, we'll produce it on one condition. We have to do more than one season because this drama I'm seeing here, we can't tell that whole story in one season. So she said, okay. She agreed, and eventually we agreed to do 5 seasons. And it was an interesting journey, working with so many talented folks, so many talented actors. Our first lead was Ron D, who has since passed away. May he continue to rest in peace. And we went through a whole list of characters and actors, from the professionals all the way down to the amateurs like
All the way
myself.
down to me, I tried my hand once.
We tried everyone. We
I tried
wanted
my voice
everyone to
once.
have
Yeah.
an opportunity, and everyone to it was such a fun project, and it got some very good listenership. In fact, not just TDN and Life 101, other stations in the Caribbean carried it at some point, either during or after the season, from Q95 even to DBS Radio, to a station in Montserrat, to stations in St. Kitts Nevis. I mean, it was, I would say, almost a global phenomena, for a small production. And we had a great time doing that show. Some TDN DJs also showed up as characters as well, and so that writing experience, helped to, or rather, that experience helped to reinvigorate my zeal for writing, because that's something I've always been doing. I've always done. I mean, I didn't do it for a few years, but doing Redemption Road just brought that back and brought the feeling of what it feels like to put something down on paper and have people read it or have people follow it or whatever. And it's not even about that per se. It's just knowing that you can do this or you have this talent and you are not keeping it hidden. You know,
But
you're using it.
what I want to tell the audience about Redemption Road is that now everybody is doing things virtual, and we have podcasts, and we have, but this was pre-COVID, and
Yeah.
Nicole and Sam produced 5 seasons of a radio drama where the actors and actresses were in different locations: Canada, different cities in the US, different states in the Caribbean, and they put this thing together and broadcast it on air. And you would not tell that everybody was in the same room with a director on stage, and the whole crew and the whole team. And so by the time COVID came and everybody discovered, and all of this thing advanced in terms of being able to do things virtually, they had already mastered that. And some, I'm sure, is it in the archives so people can go listen to the different programs?
Well, basically for now, since this show has ended, we
Mhm.
sometimes play some of the seasons or some episodes on Life 101
Okay.
during the week, sometimes, not all the time. We also, I didn't mention that we also have a little sub show to the main show. It's that we run during the Christmas season.
It's a spin-off.
Um, yeah, it's just small. It's just basically it's just Ron D and I think 3 or 4 of the other characters doing a thing around his family. Basically, the kids talking about what they want to do during Christmas, something like that. I don't even remember exactly everything, but it's a nice little spin of that. We play that all during the holidays. And as a matter of fact, last week, one of the stations who used to carry it sent me a text. The manager sent me a text and asked me if he can get access to seasons one for free again because I guess he wants to run it again. So, you know, I, I didn't even think anybody wanted to run it again, but asked me, so I thought, yeah, sure, no problem. So um, I'm sure when he schedules it, he'll let me know, and we
I
can
dare
just.
say that the amount of drama that we had in that program, the real life politics in the Caribbean, in Dominica, in Grenada, in St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the amount of drama that's in there, I wish we could do a few more contemporary episodes of Redemption Road. But anyhow,
Well,
go
I,
ahead.
I, I think I think we already even how you call that? I think the what's that old adage? Art imitating life imitating art. I think we did that already. As a matter of fact, every season, right? So while the season is going on, like so let's say while season one was running, we were writing season two. And while season two was running, we were writing season three and so on. So everything was written like at least 6 months in advance. And certain things happened, certain people said certain things that we had already written. And my co-writer Nicole was very scared sometimes because she was like, they would come after us because I was like,
well,
why?
well, that gives me even more reason now to tell you to reignite it, and I want you to write some better outcomes for some of these islands. Like do a
Mm.
drama based on Dominica and write, you know.
Yeah,
let's,
maybe things will change, right?
let's see if we get some things going. But okay, so you know that that reignited your writing interest. So let's
Hmm.
introduce the audience to Kadim's Revenge.
Certainly.
Let's put up the cover, and I'm going to allow you to. I don't know if you want to read the back cover or you want to give your own synopsis of the story.
All right, sure. I can do the back and then maybe later give you a paragraph of the in one of the chapters, randomly.
Mhm.
Certainly. So uh, before I read that, let me just say where the idea for Kadim's Revenge came from. Uh, That must have been in my subconscious for a very long time because, as you know, if you're from Dominica or or some Caribbean islands, you'll know that agouti and manikou, those things, they are food for some folks. Some people like them. And growing up, my dad always loved agouti, loved manikou, always hunting them. So when I got to a certain age, I was no longer interested in, you know, but I used to tease him all the time. I used to tell him, "You love hunting agouti. One day, agouti will hunt you or hunt you back." So that is essentially where the idea came from, and it's been, I guess, sitting in my subconscious for a while. And a few years ago, I you know, I don't remember what I was talking to him about. And then I told him, I have an idea for a book, to write a book about an agouti that wants revenge on human beings. And he starts laughing. So, and he said, "Oh, that," he said, "that would be interesting," essentially. So here we are today. It took me quite a while to finish this book, although it's a very small book. It's like, you know, 78 pages, I think. So it's not a very big book, but it took me a while to complete it. Rewrites and editing and back and forth and so on. And because I wanted it to be good, I didn't want it to just be something. It's kind of, I think they say there's at least one book every writer has that's close to their heart. This one is it for me.
Why is that so?
Um,
Why? What about that?
well, because of the connection to my father and,
Okay.
growing up and, everything I used to tell him about hunting agouti,
Mhm.
so that's why. And, I just, you know, I feel like this is one of my best work, essentially. So I don't know. I let others be the judge of that. I don't want to be so presumptuous, but I think you'll like it if you read it. It's not, well, I won't tell you what it is, but yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I'll let you buy it and read it yourself, and
Definitely.
then you can decide.
One of the
Um,
things that we do when we interview writers is so that the audience can get to know the work and they can support. You can support the author. First of all, it's gratifying to know that other people are interested in your work to the extent that they open their wallet or they take out their credit card
mhm.
and they purchase the book. But that also gives
Yes.
sustenance and encouragement to the writer to continue working and continue producing the work. So
Yeah.
Kadim is an agouti. Why did your
Yes.
dad used to hunt agouti more than Manikou?
Well, I wouldn't say he did. I think they were, how you call
Equal
it? They were
opportunity.
equal targets.
So
When
why
he
didn't you
set
write
his
about the
trap,
Manikou then?
I don't know. I think I like the agouti more. I think I felt like the agouti was a bit, you know, it was a bit, it may be slightly more aggressive than the Manikou. It just felt right. I really can't tell you exactly why I didn't write about the agouti. And maybe because the agouti is unique to the Caribbean, mostly the Dominica, because as a matter of fact, the agouti, when I was doing some research on it, they have a cousin that's in South America that they call Paca or Pacas.
Hmm.
So there are few species of the agouti, but the Dominican agouti to me is special.
Yeah.
It's like, and they used to be all over our land, on the lake road. So it's, I don't know. I think I have an affinity to it more than the agouti. The manikou does show up in there. So I didn't completely leave them out, but
But the main character is Agouti.
yes, yes.
Because the Agouti was, to me, was always more elusive than the Manikou. People, people would prize ha- getting an Agouti more than they would a Manikou.
Well,
Um,
yeah, the manico is more abundant and
yeah,
it's easier to catch,
more brazen. Yeah.
especially depending on the area where you are. But I know on the property my family has on the lake road, it used to be very easy. I mean, I don't remember a time my dad would set his trap and come back without an agouti or a manico, but mostly
Wow.
agouti, sometimes two of them. And, you know, so I just, I mean, these exotic meats, I don't know. I
I mean,
admire Dominican
it's
food, but
wildlife.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
folks look down on the Manikou because they associate Manikou. They say it's a rodent. They say if you eat anything, dead or alive, or fresh or
Mm.
rotten. They
Well, that's
still
not true though.
so no, it's not.
As well, especially the agouti for sure does
No,
not
no,
eat
not the Agouti, the
meat.
Manikou.
Yeah, the manico is more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Manikou is more hungry.
Yeah, apparently, right? They have less inhibitions on what they eat.
And the and Agouti, I mean, you when you're driving on the roads in Dominica, especially at night or dusk, it's not uncommon to find Manikou on the road.
Yeah,
You hardly will ever run across an Agouti crossing a road. That Agouti seems to be
very true.
more secluded,
Yeah,
more
they remain more in the habitat area in the forest. Than they are not. I think as if I feel like the manico is almost trying to become domesticated. uh, the agouti is more wild.
or the main dish of the
Well,
or
not
the,
the
or
other,
the
right?
But I don't know if your research, if you went into their breeding. I know the Manikou when it births can have a litter of many young ones. Is that the same for the Agouti? Did you find that out? I don't
It's
know.
pretty much the same. Pretty much the same.
Okay.
The same thing for the agouti. I mean, though they are not in the same family, they have similar traits in some cases. So like they actually, and interestingly about the agouti, they actually live like a family.
Oh.
So they almost have a husband and wife and children situation. Um, Once a female and a male become mates, they are basically mates forever.
Hmm.
Maybe human beings can take a lesson from them because
So is that where? So is that the basis for your story then? That
no,
that
it's not.
Agouti,
I didn't know
Agouti
that
of a
until
family, huh?
I didn't know that until I began until after I started writing and I started doing some more research. I
Mhm.
did not even realize that. So
Okay, you can see
like I said,
a young
like I
Agouti
said, the idea came
for
using
the
Agouti
parent.
as the protagonist and just write. And with me, most of the time, I don't know what's gonna happen until I come to the end. So I just write whatever comes to mind. I put it down and then I go and then I try cleaning up afterwards. Well, I leave most of the work to the editor, but you know,
Okay, so
um,
the the genre that this book belonged to is a unique genre in and of itself. I okay, it's 8:28. Let's take a quick break. When we come back,
okay,
I'm going to introduce the audience to that genre, in which Kadim's revenge is, and to let them understand that there is this genre and the significance of that genre to us as Caribbean people who have a tradition of storytelling, we have a tradition of folklore and stories that we pass down from generation to generation. So, quick break, folks. My guest tonight is Mr. Sam George. He just released his new book, Kadim's Revenge. And you want to get your copy, the copies are available on Amazon, Sam?
Yes, definitely. When we come back, I will have
We
the
will
link.
give
I'll
all the
put it
details
in the
of that.
comments.
So, stay tuned through the break and we'll be right back.
Presented by
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
All right, welcome back, folks, and thanks for staying with us through the break. My guest tonight on this weekend interview is writer, author Sam George. He has a new book out called Kadim's Revenge that is centered around the tradition in Dominica and the other islands of mostly men. Some women go out into the forest to hunt, and because of the way the islands are, we don't have big game like deer and lions and stuff like that. What we have is smaller wild animals. They used to be wild boars in Dominica, but I think those were all hunted out. And so
Right.
we've always had agouti and manikou, and the whole premise of the story is that it's almost like the game Angry Birds. It's based on Kadim and Agouti deciding to turn the table on the humans who inhabit or share the space where they live and say, what if we were to hunt humans? How would they feel when they feel that they can just come out into the bush and hunt us? And so Sam in his own creative and imaginative way, has spun that into a really fascinating and enthralling tale that he is sharing with us. And some, before we go further, let's tell the audience how they can get a copy of Kadim's Revenge.
Certainly. If you can go to Amazon.com and search for Kadim's Revenge, apostrophe S
Let's
Revenge.
show them the
Yeah, we'll pull up
model.
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had to be producer and guest at the same time. but but yeah, once you search for this, you'll certainly find it. If you want, you can put my name as well, and it'll come up. I have the link in just a moment, so I'll put it in the comments. So when you watch this video later on, you just click on the link, or if you go to the comments, you'll find the link, and you can just it'll take you directly to it. Um, yeah. So Kadim is at first, Kadim is a typical kid, naive, I would say, running around, just minding his own business until he sees something. I won't say what it is, but he saw something that first of all scared him, frightened him, and then also opened his eyes. And then he went to the elders for help, and they just a little tip laughed at him
Mhm.
because the elders knew the truth, but he didn't know the truth. And then upon learning the truth, well, then he decides he's going to do, if the elders are not going to do something about it, he's going to do something about it. And that cause and effect, put
Mhm.
it that way.
and
And
and and,
so,
the title says it all, Kadim's Revenge.
yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, we grew up in the Caribbean, telling stories. We don't know how that has changed with technology, where everybody has an individual gadget that sort of dampens the opportunity for interaction among peers. But when we were growing up, we would tell stories, and in
Hmm.
Dominica, where we use Creole, we would have Copper Lape and Copper Tigre. In the rest of the
Yep.
Caribbean, you be Brer Rabbit and Brer Tiger. And
Hmm.
they would get into all kinds of trouble, they get all kinds of mischief, they would go on adventures, one being cunning, and the other one not so witty, almost witless. And so,
Silly. Yeah.
yeah, and so we have that tradition of storytelling, and sometimes to make the story interesting or to explain things that would be too complicated, to try to make everything fit in a natural and understanding way. We're boring. Some of these characters are given special powers. And so we get used to folklores where we have super powered characters. And
Hmm.
so Sam, you are writing about Agouti and personifying that, giving it human characteristics
Yes.
and thoughts and so on. Uh,
Hmm.
but also, in that fantasy genre, science fiction, and so on. So, do we have a name for that genre?
Well, Kadim is it's really I would the main I call it the main uh, genre. It would be in is action adventure
Uh,
fantasy
Action, adventure, fantasy. Okay.
because it's a fantasy, but there is also action in it.
Mhm.
So it's not just drama. It's not like you know, uh, Lord of the Rings are one of those things. Those are pure fantasy.
Mhm.
They are violence, but Kadim is more action and more fantasy with action. The subgenre would be is dark fantasy or because of the story, what's happening.
Hmm.
And then of course you call it there's also another magical realism,
Magical realism.
because I mean, yeah. So for in order for humans to understand animals that in at the level that humans are understanding the animals in this story, there has to be some kind of magical thing going on. So that's um that's essentially what it fits into, not necessarily sci-fi, because sci-fi is actually based, doesn't have to be based in true science, but it has to have a basis in the real world.
Okay.
Fantasy doesn't. Fantasy, you can make up whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. We can
Hmm.
make up whatever story you want. Whatever you can build your world as you see fit. Your characters don't have to have human features. They can have all any kind of feature you want. So the world building is slightly different. They are mentioned together, but they are not interchangeable,
What
and
is
they can be mixed in.
what you say that's interchangeable?
Well, sci-fi and
Sci-fi
fantasy, they
and
are
fantasy.
usually mentioned together, but
Hmm.
the terms are not interchangeable.
Right.
But however, you can mix them. You can have sci-fi, fantasy mixed together,
Hmm.
but um, they stand on their own 2 feet, if you will, on their own.
Right. But the stories that you write, and for those in the audience that are familiar with Peter Noir and the Flying Grapple, um, and so on, would see where you sort of sling off one of those and sling off the other one and meet in the middle, where there's sort of like a melding, I would call it, or
Yeah,
or,
and that's exactly the point of Peter Noir. That's
mhm.
exactly the point. It is to blend our folklore storytelling style in Dominica with modern North American sci-fi fantasy. So it's pretty much a blending
Right.
of it. So we tell sci-fi stories or fantasy stories, but with a Dominican or Caribbean folklore
Yeah.
twist included. And it could be just something as simple as the story takes place in Dominica, or it takes place in a Caribbean island, or it has
Mhm.
or some Caribbean person is involved somehow. So it doesn't have to be a deep, deep connection, but it just has to have some kind of that kind of connection, you know, involved.
And storytelling is really so interwoven into our culture and our habits, but writing, I don't know if I'm making a wrong accusation, but it doesn't seem like writing is the same way. And so when we have Caribbean
What
writers,
what what do
uh
you mean when you say you don't think writing is?
what I mean is that it's easy for just when we were growing up. Um, it's so easy on a moonlight night, or if we just gather by the river and we fell up like in the water for too long or whatever, we sit around and make stories. It
Yeah,
might be a spin-off of a story that we already know, or it might be a spin-off on a character in the village. So storytelling seems to be in us. But like for example, I'm not aware that, for example, somebody be keeping a diary or journaling or actually sitting down and taking a notebook and writing stories down. Our tradition to me is more of an oral one. You don't think so?
well, you're right on that in one extent, to an extent. Especially Dominica, we love the oral tradition,
Hmm.
and it goes all that goes all the way back to our ancestors coming from Africa, against their will, and finding ways to talk about their lives and what's happening, and even you know um, going against or talking against the slave masters. So it's all that's where the tradition comes from. And remember, back in those days, they weren't allowed to write or read.
Right.
So that they had to find ways not just to entertain themselves but also to pass messages. One of the That's one of the reasons for things like Creole and things like Calypso, right?
Mhm.
That's the genesis of these things. So the oral tradition was very, very strong in Dominica for a very long time, even long after the other islands had sort of moved on. Dominica still had a strong um, oral tradition going.
Mhm.
Uh, but I would say now, and being now in the literary world, I can see where the oral tradition has sort of declined. However, I will say that we have tons and tons and tons of writers. Uh, in the Caribbean, Dominica has one of the largest numbers of writers, of
Wow.
authors. It's not the largest. I believe the largest is Trinidad and Tobago,
Mhm.
but Dominica has a very large contingent of authors, and that's those living in Dominica and those living overseas. And so, I mean, places like as well, Jamaica has quite a few as well. Um, uh, but the thing is, there are Caribbean islands that do not have writers. Places like
Wow.
St. Kitts Nevis, for example, they don't have a literary world. They have a few bookstores, few printers, but
Mhm.
they don't have a literary tradition like we do in Dominica. And there are folks trying to make some changes, trying to change that, and I wish them the best. But it's not going to be easy. It's not even easy with Dominica either.
Mhm.
Despite the number of writers we have, it's still very, very difficult to get your books into Dominica, for example, to obviously to make sales and all of that, because well, we know this current situation for one thing, and just the infrastructure to support people uh, is not there.
The
Amazon,
libraries
for
and
example.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon, for example, will not ship to Dominica, or if they do ship, the price, the shipping cost will cost more than a book.
Mhm.
So it's almost impossible to get a Dominican to order buy a book from you when it's printed in the United States or wherever. Uh, I know there are a few printers in the Caribbean, but let's just say folks have not had the best experience with some of them, and it's still costly because you still have to ship it. The Dominica itself doesn't really have a reliable book printing. And when I say they have printers, but not book binders,
Right.
because that's
More
a different thing,
pamphlets
and it
and
requires,
concepts and forms.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they can print a book and use how I call it, the staples or whatever.
Those are
But
all the plastic grids.
actual book, yeah, exactly. Actual book binders, that's really not a thing. If there's one, then I don't know. But
Right.
I mean, authors have had to have their books printed all the way in the UK and then get it to Dominica. So it's really tough. But nonetheless, we don't let that stop us from writing. Maybe one day things will change. We don't know.
Because of the writer. Somebody might read a book. So tell us a little
Yeah.
more about the story, Kazim. I know you said you have something you can read for us to sort of whet the appetite of the audience, to encourage them to go out and get Kadim Revenge as part of their summer reading um,
Yes,
adventures.
definitely. All right. So I'm going to read the synopsis in the back, and then if we have the time, I will read a little bit from the
From the book
I
itself.
call it
Yeah.
the inside pages. Throughout history, the intelligence and abilities of animals have been underestimated by humanity. In this captivating story, we follow the journey of a remarkable creature has reached its breaking point. After centuries of enduring disrespect, violence, and mistreatment, fueled by a rage and a burning desire for revenge, the animal embarks on a mission to demonstrate that it possesses power and intelligence, just like humans, and to underestimate its resolve could prove deadly. Readers will find themselves on a thrilling adventure as they accompany this creature on its quest for justice. The narrative serves as a reminder that all beings, big and small, deserve respect, and that human beings should never overlook the formidability, or rather the formidable forces of nature. Kadim grew tired of losing family and friends to humans after his older brother was taken, and Kadim learned the real reason for the disappearance of so many Aguti. He decided that revenge on the humans was the only way to restore peace. But will Kadim's actions end the brethren's days of suffering and loss? Or will this have the opposite effect and destroy an entire species? And let me just say this quote here: Kadim's Revenge by Sam George is a masterpiece. I quote Catherine Dossett on that. And
Yeah,
again, thank you, Catherine, for reading this book and the kind words. She has a very nice endorsement on
yeah.
the inside. Um,
And she's a well accomplished, award winning writer,
exactly.
amongst
So
writers.
that's why I say that. So coming from her, I am very humbled and very appreciative of her support, and Nicole as well, who edited this book, and was the one who said, "Sam, change this, change that." No, that's not going to work. Yeah, so you know, let me do this. I'm going to read a little bit
From inside. Mhm.
from inside, chapter 7, the warrant. Krong Valley was quiet, way too quiet. A silence so complete it felt like a physical pressure against Kadim's skull. This wasn't the comforting hush of ancient trees, the lullaby of leaves, or the natural silence just before a thunderstorm. It was an unnatural void, a gaping hole where birdsong should have soared, where Agouti and Manico were usually gossiped, where even the restless wind dared not whisper. A shiver born not of cold but of something ancient and instinctive clawed its way up Kadim's spine as he knelt, framing the diligence in gathering roots, a hollow penance for his recklessness. The weight of his transgression pressed down on him, heavy as the silent trees. Then his nostrils were assaulted. A new but familiar stench obliterated the normal forest scents he had gotten used to again. It was a deep, potent smell of something festering, of something foreign that burned the back of his throat and made his eyes water. It was the stench of violation, a defilement, the punishing shame of his actions 2 moons ago evaporated, replaced by a fear so sharp it drew a phantom line of blood in his mind. This wasn't a hunt, it was an invasion. And we leave that there.
I will leave it there.
You'll have to
All
find
right,
out.
that's the author Sam Judge reading from his new book, Kadim's Revenge. He is presenting the book to us, newly released, and it's available on Amazon. You can search for the book, or you can search for Sam Judge, and you will find that book and some of his other works as well. Very, very wonderful storyteller, and he weaves uh, a really compelling tale every time he puts pen to paper, whether it's part of the Flying Crapo or a novel of his own. And so, Sam, you said you wrote this book, you know, reminiscence, nostalgic of your childhood days and your interaction with your dad. Has he had a chance to read it? I know it's freshly released, but has he had a chance to read the book?
Well, Amazon took a little while to send me the author copies,
Hmm.
but his copy is on the way home.
Okay.
And as soon as it gets there, my brother will get it and give me his signed copy and everything. He asked me about it a couple of times a few years ago if I had probably done it yet and so on. But so it's finally done, and I'm sure he'll enjoy it. I'm sure he'll get a nice laugh out
Oh, I
of
wonder
it.
if he will
You know,
say, if I knew, if I knew this, I wouldn't have hunted agouti so much as I hunted sleep at airport.
but I guess we'll see what he says when he reads the story, when he reads what happened, right?
Right? You might say, wow, I wish I could go. I wish I could return the agouti to their family. Or
Right, right.
next time he's out, I guess he still goes into the bush, right?
Well, he doesn't hunt that. He doesn't
Oh,
hunt anymore.
and
I
go to
mean,
farm.
yeah, but he still goes to the farm once in a while, even if it's near the house. You know, he still keeps active, and still tries to every day. He's
On
he
innocent
goes out
farm
there,
and something. No, I,
even
I,
if he's
I was going to say, I wonder next time he sees an agouti, if he's going to think, is that Kadim?
look at it twice. I know, right? Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting, you know. And when you read the book, no, he's not the villain. The villain is totally made up. So,
No, no, no.
in fact, no, no, I'm just saying. In fact, I don't even think there's a real villain per se.
Mhm,
I just, it's more like two groups of people or two groups of creatures trying to who basically let their anger get the better of them.
mhm, mhm.
So maybe there might be a moral lesson in there somewhere, but I wasn't intentionally trying to
To go
write a
after
moral
moral.
story.
Uh-huh.
But the more I read it now, as it's complete, and I read it with the eyes of a reader.
Mhm,
um, I realize that there are a few lessons that we can pick up from Kadim's revenge. From not being impulsive for one thing. And I'm sure people can pick up their own lessons. So I won't tell you exactly what I think, but I just think, and I guess that's true with almost any book or most books. There's something in any story or most stories that you can apply to life, or not apply at all.
Yeah,
you know
it's always dynamic where, as humans, if we believe that all life is sacred, but then we also think that it's okay to kill an animal for food.
hmm
And sometimes I think about that. Um, and so, like the other day, I was thinking, well, are there any cattle in the wild? All cattle is raised
well, there
for
used to
food.
be. They used to be. They used to call them buffalo, and and these things, they are all part of the cattle family, buffalo
So
and
they
ox.
basically bred um, a particular breed that they grow for food. But
Mhm.
if you how does the um, these two sentiments, well, all life is sacred, while at the same time we say it's okay to kill so that we can eat. And
Well,
there's some people who are vegetarian because of that.
yeah. Well, I think that life is a balance. Um, you know, if you abuse a situation, if you abuse the power that you have over something smaller than, well, not necessarily smaller than you, but smaller in stature, then to me that makes you a bad person.
Hmm.
But even if we have to, or some of us eat animals or eat certain animals, we still have to respect it because it is still a living creature. Even the plants and the trees, flowers, we have to respect them because they are living things.
Right.
Even if you don't actually, you can't go eat a gourmet, but you know, there's certain bush we used to make tea and all of that. So we have to respect we have to respect life, regardless of whether it is sentient or as intelligent as we are or not. It doesn't really matter. We have to, you know, and it's part of the sanctity of life. Um, you know,
And
it's
and
like,
go ahead, finish your thought.
no, 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 go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm sure when you're writing that, I'm not sure if you went there, but it's almost like your story is now evoking um, the ethics of hunting. And there are some folks that are really reverent about it. They will kill just what they need to eat. And there are
Hmm.
some folk on the other end of the spectrum who will actually go and hunt for fun and only take a small portion of the animal that they can use as a trophy and leave the rest
Yeah,
of the animal to rot. So they're
yeah,
on the full gamut. And stories like that, which um, helps to make the reader put himself in the shoes of the prey, uh, evoke that sort of discussion, whether explicit. I don't know if when you were writing it, you had any of those inklings, or those are now evolving now that the book is out, and folks are starting to get it in their hands.
yeah. I mean, in some sense, that idea was always in the back of my mind. I didn't mention it explicitly. However, as I just said, I think it's one of the moral dilemmas you might find yourself pondering reading Kadim's Revenge, because it does invoke that kind of thinking that, and
Yeah.
I'm not telling anybody not to eat animals or not to hunt or whatever, but
Mhm.
it does seem like it will provoke that kind of, at least a pause,
Right.
even for those who, like you say, hunt for sport, which
Mhm.
I think is just barbaric and just, just out there. And, we know it's only certain types of people do that kind of stuff. And so, it's a special breed of
Mhm.
humans.
And sometimes there are traditions, there were traditions where
Yeah, yeah. Like
people
the
would
fox
hunt
hunt.
a shack just to get the fin and leave the rest of the animal, or an
Right.
entire elephant to get the tusk, uh,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I think doing these things to an animal just so for profit or for sport is just, it's beyond my brackets
Mhm.
of the things I
Right,
would
right,
approve
right.
of. But obviously, each man to his own and his own conscience. But so yeah, I mean, so Kalim is not written in a way to tell folks, well, don't eat agouti or iguana or maniku or snake. If you want to eat snake, that's
Whatever,
fine.
right?
That's your business.
Mhm.
But like I said, it's really more. It's serious, but it's also more of a fun story,
Mhm.
and just something on from the childhood that that I can I can put in a book, and just a small snippet, of life in Dominica, or life in growing up in the country, and so on. And again, it's not like there wasn't other things to eat. I mean, my family, my dad, we raised other, the normal, we
Yeah,
raised sheep
goats, sheep,
and
beef,
goats and
whatever.
the cow, and
Yeah,
and whatever else. But this was, I would say, more of the on the delicacy side, you know. But
on the fun side.
the one side, or I always, what I always think of it as, like the Africans, they always talking about bushmeat.
Hmm.
That's what I always think about it as. So, you know,
Tastes different. Um,
I'm sure it's the different thing. I'm just saying that's it.
no,
That's
no,
what
no.
it
I'm saying
reminds me.
the bush meat,
Mhm.
the wild meat has a very
Yeah.
distinct and different taste from the domesticated and
Right.
farm raised
Well, yeah,
animals.
certainly. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it's all about. It's
So,
so the
folks,
writing
yeah,
is. Mhm.
yeah, I want you to put this book on your list for the summer. There's so many graduations going on now. So get your copy, give it as a congratulatory gift to a niece, a nephew, a son, a daughter, just somebody that you admired, what they did, what they accomplished. Give it out in your, if you're going on vacation, it's an easy read to keep the kids occupied in the back seat while you drive. If they when they take a break from the screen or an alternative to the screen, get your
Mhm.
copy of Kadim's Revenge, and also get a copy for somebody else. It's not only for kids; it's very adult as well. Not in an
I would
explicit
say it's
way.
more. I would say it's more of a YA, young
Yeah,
adult.
young adult sort
Some
of
of
way.
the activities might be a little bit too much for
Children can take
younger
it and
kids.
they play in Call of Duty and all this
Well,
stuff.
that's true too. So we leave that up to the parents. But
Yeah.
it's either way, it's a fun read.
Mhm.
It's not overly bloody or overly
Right.
graphic, I'll say. But
Right.
it's still a good read, in my opinion, anyway. If I do say so myself,
Yeah.
you know.
And I hope by now, listeners, if I hope that by now, you have one or two or three books from Dominican writers, and you're building up your Dominican literature collection. There's so
Mhm.
much good work. As I said,
Yeah,
last year we had the literary festival, and and
yeah.
70 authors registered, and not just registered, they showed up and they participated in
Participated. Yeah.
in it. So, this is one more book to add to your collection of Dominican or Caribbean literature. It's well written,
Mhm.
the story is engaging, it's an easy, quick read, and leave some feedback uh, so that more people will discover. Um,
Yeah, that
it.
is something I certainly want to emphasize, that when you purchase the book and you read the book, leave a review, uh, you know, because it just it helps, it helps,
It
as
certainly
I say,
helps.
it helps the algorithm to move the book and make it easier to find, that kind of thing. So, we appreciate it. And as authors, I mean, a couple of them are on here tonight, so they know they know how they know how it is. And
Mhm.
I'm not a marketing person, so we I need your help even more.
Certainly.
Certain folks have that skill, they can come online or go wherever and do their marketing and so on. But I don't have such talents.
Is it
No,
is
I
it
have
only
nor do I
available
have
in
that.
print, Sam?
If what?
Is the book only available in print?
No. Well, the KDP, the Kindle version is also available,
Okay.
and the audio version will be coming soon. I don't know when I have to
Comics.
have a conversation with the narrator and see. I haven't. We had already agreed a while back, but I haven't reached out to him yet. But now that
Okay.
the book is officially published, I have to reach out to him, and then we can get things started. So I know, um, a lot of people like to have their audio book when they
And
on the
right.
if you're
That's why
in
this.
North
That's why
America,
this.
if you're driving or if you're on public transportation, so and certainly on it, reviews are very, very
Super
important.
important. And folks, while you on
Honest
there,
reviews,
while
eh?
you on there searching for Sam's book, check out some of the work from Annette Phillip, author Annette Phillip. She also has some pretty good material as well. Some we
Mhm.
pretty much exhausted the hour. Um, can we? Good evening, Greg. Greg Baptist. Good evening. Great for having you. Nice having you here. Some
Yeah.
closing remarks. Let's wrap this up. Because we already
Yeah,
exhausted
so
the hour.
yeah. Thank you, bro, for having me on, first of all.
Always a pleasure.
I know it's usually in the background, which is my favorite place to be in this case, but because I can be doing three things at the same time. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to promote the work and promote the book, the new book, and you know, just like we say, support the authors, support Dominican authors in general. Find a way there. Um, the Facebook page of the Nature Eye Literary Festival does a wonderful job of curating book covers from Dominican authors. Once they find a new cover, they add it to a collection, and then they go back later on, re-add the ones they've done before, and so on. So there are multiple ways to finding to finding books by Dominican authors. And of course, you can always reach out to TDN. We can always find, if you're looking for a particular book from a Dominican author, we know we have a huge list. We can always point you in the right direction. So if you want to reach out to me directly, you can always go to my author page on Amazon.com, Author Central, and just send me a message that way. I'll get it, and I will respond. And of course, most importantly, buy the book, read the book, write a review. Please
Mhm.
be kind, and because that assists, that helps, and you know, we can form a nice author fan base relationship.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see the work. And folks, I know I'm telling you to support these writers, but let me tell you, that's not the only reason you should buy the book, because the work is genuinely good. Yes, we want to support them and encourage them, and sometimes you do it just for the sake of encouraging and encouragement. But you the work is actually worth the money that you spend to get it. And so I encourage you to go check it out. After you do your first one, you will see what I'm talking about, and you should get the next one and your next one and your next one until you have a whole collection of books by Dominican writers and Dominican authors. The latest one that I'm presenting to you tonight is by Sam Judge, and the name of the book is Kadim's Revenge. You can find it on Amazon, both in print as well as Kindle version. And so I encourage you to go there and look for his work. We saw author Annette Phillip is on the program in the audience. She also has books there, and she's always, I put my tongue in my cheek and I said she's shy, but she's not. She's a whole bundle of energy, and she's so proud of what she's created that she's always putting it in front of the audience and encouraging you, and she's had great success. So I wish you continued success if you're writing, and all the other writers in Dominica. So let's do some closing remarks, and I'll send you on your way.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Just remember to support any and all offers you want, but make it a point of duty to support Dominican authors.
Right.
That's if you are from Dominica or if you are from the
Or even if you're
Caribbean.
not, yeah.
Oh, well, even if you're not, you're right. Wherever you are from, make it a point of duty to support us because we need your support, and it's not just doing it for doing it. In some cases, it's just doing it because you love to do it, but at the same time, there needs to be some kind of, I wouldn't say reward, but some kind of appreciation. We don't want to wait until the person has gone by and they say, "Oh, this person was a good," give the writer the flowers while they are still alive, so they know they are actually doing something. Greg Baptist has it right. Support local.
Local, yeah. Encourage
Yeah.
it so that the art stays alive, the talent is developed. Folks,
and not only that, it
Uh-huh.
also encourages the younger people. Remember, I said there are some islands that do not have a literary world or a literary anything.
Mhm.
And now they are trying to build it up, and it's proving difficult because the kids will not read anything beyond the textbook.
Schoolwork.
No reading for fun. I mean, you remember when we were growing up, we had to read a book when we were on holidays and then write a book report.
Yeah, and we used to exchange books. We used to have books going, and people need to tell us to read. You lend this person that book, and that person lend it to that
Yeah.
person. And sometimes somebody come to lend you a book, and you realize it's your book that you had lent. Comes back full circle
Yeah.
to you. And reading. It has said that reading promotes longevity. People live longer when
Yeah.
they read and they write by hand.
Stimulates the mind.
Yeah,
It stimulates your
it's
mind.
actually scientifically proven. So, Sam, I want to say good night and thank you for stopping by and all the best of the new book. I know there's another one right on its heel. I'm pretty sure because
Yeah, there are at least 2 or 3 more before the year is up.
Yeah.
Almost complete with editing. Editing is almost completed. Rewrites are almost completed. And so there's more work coming. The Flying Crapple 4, we are almost done with that. That one took quite a little bit, but you cannot rush perfection, they say.
All right.
But certainly. Have a good night, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by, as I said.
And of course, the audience, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Mhm. So, folks, there you had it. Another wonderful conversation with another talented Caribbean person, Sam George, writer, author, technologist, producer, manager, the radio. He wears many hats. But tonight he was on the program. He stopped by to introduce us to his new book, Kadim's Revenge. And I encourage you to get your copy, make it part of your summer reading. Take it on vacation with you. Give it to your niece, your nephew, your brother, your sister, your auntie, your mom, your dad. It's reading for everybody, and you will enjoy it. You will enjoy the writing is really easy and enjoyable. So there you have it. I before I go, I want to just express some condolences. We have some sad news in our family this week. I lost a nephew, Patterson Drago, passed on Monday. So Lenny and Tio and all of those nieces and nephews of mine, Mike, it's sad in the family. Condolences, you guys lost your brother, but that happens, and our thoughts are with you as we go through this trying times. We'll keep you updated, folks, with the information as we move forward. So, with that said, I want to wish you a great remainder of the week and the weekend, and we will see you again next week for another episode of This Week in Interview with your host, Anthony Drago. Good night, everyone.